I've heard it expressed as the great tradition, which is the tradition that's universal despite having all these variations.
Right.
And that tradition is for the human individual to transcend their limited notion of their self back home to this infinite, non-dimensional, meaning has no shape or form, perceiver, and to live from that. That is the shift that every good teacher is talking about. If you listen to Ram Dass, if you've heard of Ram Dass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Ram Dass is good.
Absolutely phenomenal speaker. Allan Watts.
Allan Watts has got his book right there. Yep.
And
I've heard hours of both of them, Ram Dass and Allan Watts.
What they're talking about is the shift from identification with mind and body to the identification with consciousness. Ram Dass uses words like the soul.
Well, Ralph Waldo Emerson uses nature as like his defining.
Like overmind too, or oversoul.
Yeah.
So I think what happens with some people, like Ram Dass, was really fell in love with all the variation and loved to express in any way he can. He quoted the Tao and also quoted Christianity and all this
some
stuff.
Vedic stuff too.
Vedic stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's all over the place.
All over the place.
Can't define Ram Dass.
No, because
can't.
And then some people thought he addressed once in one of his talks that he was getting people hooked up into spiritual materialism just because of how into all these things were. It was not true. He was a really brilliant speaker. But what he was talking about, I'll try to just paraphrase what he said about it. That the shift everyone's talking about is connecting to this higher self. At first, it's like an imaginary friend that you made up. But when you become absorbed in it, eventually that is your true self, and the imaginary friend is this ego mind that you once believed yourself to be firmly.
Wow, that makes sense.
So there's so many different things you can tie that into. For one, I'll give you an example. Bruce Lee writes about self-actualization. And I think he gets it from the Tao, actually, because in one of the tantras, it talks about being like water. Here it is right here.
I've heard him say it.
True goodness is like water. It nurtures everything and harms nothing. Like water, it ever seeks the lowest place, the place that all others avoid. This is the way of the Tao. And it goes on to explain the flow of water, like trying to actually emulate water. It just goes with the flow. But it doesn't. It's not always going to be good. You're going to crash into a rock.
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that, though, is best applied to the practice of meditation rather than going with the flow of whatever.
Right.
Something outside.
Right, because justice is like making justice is important too. Like we could just go with the flow, and like we lived in Nazi Germany, we didn't do anything to stop.
They say don't go with the flow.
Yeah, so that's why this whole balance between action and inaction is something that needs to be harnessed and really figured out, because we do have there are moments where action is necessary. There are moments when inaction is necessary. I'm trying to think where I was going with this, but like basically
water.
Talking about water. Being as much. It's like, okay, here's what I was gonna say. It says that it always tries to find the lowest place.
Yeah,
because of gravity, obviously. But in terms of spiritually, what it's saying is you're looking for the path. The easy path.
Well, it's the path of least resistance.
Right. So not necessarily the easiest path.
Can you show the clip of Bruce Lee talking about water real quick?
Sure.
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup. It becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Super cool.
Just showed it. Yeah, I just showed it. All right. But yeah, like, so finding the path of least resistance, I'm glad you corrected me on that, because I said the easy path. It's not always the easiest paths, but it's the necessary path. You know what I'm saying?
There's a beautiful thing from the Tao that from my edition, I hope I don't fail remembering this one, because it says it was like water. Goodness is like water, but it also goes where most people completely avoid, which brings it closer to the Tao.
Yeah.
So that brings you to some of the grittier truths about approaching consciousness and knowing thyself means you're gonna face what you avoid. Otherwise, you're stuck in that karma of avoiding and desiring, wanting what is not present and avoiding what is present.
Yeah.
Is the human condition of suffering, and can be said to be all ego is.
Wow.
Sounds like it. Sounds like a pretty good description.
And then so back to the action versus inaction thing. Our actions will give us karma, which is what we don't want.
No, karma is not actually it's not given that value.
Right. And there's dharma, where you're actually getting back, like you're actually gaining something from your actions. Like it actually improves you a little bit.
I think that, well, here's my understanding. Dharma, according to the Vedas, was really pretty much just what you do. Like the Dharma is like, I was born to be a locksmith.
The self, the who you are, like the natural self.
Oh no, not even that. Dharma is actually a little bit more earthy. Dharma is just your Dharma is to put on the podcast. Dharma is really just
the way.
Well, in the Taoist terms?
No, just Dharma.
Dharma is what your purpose is.
Yeah, your purpose, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting at.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's their understanding.
Whereas
it's also used as a way to. It's used in other ways, but that's the way I kind of I
yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. And then there's
Dharma
karma.
of a washing machine is to do a load of laundry.
Yeah,
it's a very simple thing.
And
it's not even spiritual. Really.
It sounds pretty easy.
And then to experience karma is to experience the reactions to your actions. Like whatever it is that you take, whatever like you do something, and the reaction to that's the karma of it. That's like the response that the universe gives you.
Karma is just like the dance of life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a push and pull.
But it's not like this.
You throw a boomerang and it comes back and pops you in the head. You know.
Right.
That's sort of there's a Western understanding of karma that emphasizes what goes around comes around, and there's a truth to that. There's an intelligence to that.
Yeah.
Because strictly speaking, karma is just cause and effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I think where people get that whole karma, in the sense that I'm talking about, is actually from the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, where he's explaining karma and dharma to him, and he's sort of giving it he sort of tells it to him like, you want dharma and you don't want karma, sort of.
Yeah,
but it's way more complicated than just that, though. Like you said.
Should we explain the premise of the Bhagavad Gita just quickly?
Yeah. Do you want to do it?
Well, just so because you were talking about it, that it's an exchange between Lord Krishna, who is pretty much God embodied, talking with Arjuna, who is this great warrior, who's a archer.
Right. He was going to battle against his uncle, which is Lord Bhishma, of the North. I believe he was the North. Yeah, no, that's what it was. Bhishma was the prince of the North. Arjuna was the prince of the South. It was the Dravidians versus the Hindis, I think they were called, actually. Yeah, the Hindis. And this was the battle that's about to take place. Now, Arjuna, I'll let you take it away after this part, the meeting, but the premise is Arjuna has to go fight his uncle in a war over India, and he doesn't want to do it. His consciousness is telling him, I love my uncle. Why would I want to go to war? Why would I want to kill all these people? I don't want to do that. I want to make peace with these people. But what does Krishna tell him?
Yeah.
You want to take it from there?
Yeah, the reason why this is still such a spicy text is that Krishna tells him that you must fight.
Yeah.
And so...
That's a guy.
So a lot of people might say, why is this spiritual book telling me to fight?
Yeah.
It's not telling you to fight. It's telling Arjuna to fight.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's not telling you to fight in every single... So that's
Don't fight anyone.
That's the Buddhist...
especially with a bow and arrow.
The Buddhists took that because that's canon. According to Buddhists, that's canon. Like that's part of their. They look back to the Vedas and the Mahabharata, just like a Christian would look at the Old Testament for the Torah. So they don't like hide. They don't neglect that part, but that they also bring in the aspect of that was what he was telling to Prince Aruna. Krishna might tell you something different.
Yeah.
Your situation.
Will.
He will say something different to you because you're a different individual. You're in a different situation.
You're at a different karmic load.
So that's what they were sort of correcting that in a way where a lot of people misunderstood what that meant.
Yeah.